You know exactly who this is about. There is someone in your life, or someone who was in your life, and the way they have treated you has never quite made sense. Not fully, because you have seen it. You have seen the moments when they almost let you in, when something in their eyes shifted, when the wall came down just enough for you to feel what was possible between you. And then, without warning, they stepped back. They went cold. They found a reason to create distance, and you were left standing in the space where connection had almost been, wondering what you did wrong. Perhaps they pull you close and then disappear. Perhaps they say things in private they refuse to acknowledge in public. Perhaps they have never quite arrived, even when they were right in front of you. And here is what you already sense, even if you have never had the words for it. This is not about you being too much. It is not about you being not enough. Something else entirely is happening in this person. Something that has nothing to do with your worth and everything to do with their fear. What I am going to show you tonight will not only explain their behavior, it will show you the exact psychological mechanism beneath it, and why you, specifically, are the one who terrifies them most. Carl Jung, one of the greatest explorers of the human soul who ever lived, understood something about love that most people spend their entire lives circling without ever landing on. He understood that the capacity to love deeply and the terror of love are not opposites. They are the same force, moving in different directions. Jung dedicated his life to mapping the unconscious, the vast, hidden interior of the human psyche that operates beneath everything we think, choose, and feel. And he found, across decades of work with real people in real pain, that the unconscious does not lie. It does not perform. It cannot pretend. The concept at the center of everything you are experiencing right now is what Jung called the shadow. The shadow is the part of the self that a person cannot bear to consciously acknowledge. The feelings, the needs, the vulnerabilities that were deemed too dangerous, too exposed, too shameful to live in the light. One plain sentence. The shadow is everything we hide from ourselves because we once learned that those parts of us were not safe to show. And in the person you are thinking of tonight, the one whose inconsistency has cost you so much, the shadow is not hiding hatred or indifference or cruelty. It is hiding something far more powerful than any of those. It is hiding the depth of what they feel for you. Jung observed that the human psyche has an extraordinary capacity for self-protection. And the cruelest irony of that protection is this: the things we most need are often the things we most aggressively push away. Not because we do not want them, but because wanting them feels like the most dangerous thing in the world. You are not dealing with someone who does not feel. You are dealing with someone who feels too much, and who has built, over a lifetime, an entire architecture of defense designed to make sure no one ever sees it. This is not a personal choice they are making against you. This is a survival strategy, so deeply embedded in their psyche that they likely do not even recognize it as a strategy. They experience it as simply who they are, as self-sufficiency, as strength, as not needing too much from anyone. But beneath the surface, something entirely different is happening. And Jung's framework gives us the language to name it. When a person grows up in an environment where emotional openness led to pain, where vulnerability was punished, or where love was unpredictable, or where the people who were supposed to be safe turned out not to be, the psyche makes a decision, not consciously, at the level of the unconscious, where survival logic operates. And the decision is this: love is not safe. Needing someone is dangerous. The only way to remain intact is to never fully arrive. That decision gets encoded. It becomes the operating system. And then, years later, decades later, they meet you. And everything changes, not gradually, all at once. Here is what happens when a person who has built their entire inner life around emotional distance encounters someone who genuinely moves them. The unconscious registers the threat before the conscious mind has any idea what is happening. Something in you, your presence, your particular quality of seeing them, bypasses the defenses, gets through in a way no one else has, and the unconscious sounds the alarm. Not because you are dangerous, because you are real to them in a way other people have not been. And realness, for someone whose shadow is buried beneath layers of protective distance, is the most terrifying thing imaginable. And think about the moments when you have seen them be most distant, most cold, most inexplicably unavailable. Were those moments random? Or did they tend to follow moments of genuine closeness? A conversation that went somewhere unexpected. A moment of vulnerability that surprised even them. A look that held a second longer than it should have. Jung would tell you, the retreat is not a withdrawal from you. It is a withdrawal from themselves. From the part of themselves that your presence makes impossible to ignore. The shadow they have buried. The part of them that wants to be known, that wants to stop performing, that wants to rest in someone else's care. That shadow becomes loudest in your presence, most insistent, most threatening. And so the only way to silence it is to silence the relationship, to create distance, to find a flaw, to manufacture a reason why this cannot work. You are not experiencing rejection. You are experiencing someone's panic at the prospect of being truly seen. And somewhere in you, you already know this. Not as a thought you have constructed, as something you have felt. In the specific quality of how they look at you sometimes, in the particular way they hold back right at the moment when everything could open up, in the exhausting push and pull that makes no rational sense unless you factor in fear. Something in you has known all along that this is not ordinary distance. This is the distance of someone who cannot afford to get any closer. You knew. Before this video. Before the words. You knew. Here is the central paradox of everything you have been living through, and I want you to hear it clearly. The person most afraid to love you is the person for whom your love would mean the most. Let that settle, because it sounds like a comfort. It is not only a comfort, it is a precise psychological observation that Jung's entire framework of the shadow supports. Why is this paradox true? Because the depth of the fear is always proportional to the depth of the feeling. A person does not build elaborate defensive walls around something that does not matter to them. You do not construct a fortress to protect an empty room. The fortress exists because something inside is worth protecting, something precious, something that feels, to them, like it could not survive exposure. Jung observed that the shadow grows most powerful around the things we most deeply need. When a person suppresses their capacity for love, when they learn to function without it, to pride themselves on not needing it, that suppressed capacity does not disappear. It goes underground, it becomes part of the shadow, and it waits. And then you appear, and suddenly the shadow is no longer quiet. It is pressing against every wall they have built. It is making itself known through dreams they do not mention, through thoughts they cannot explain, through an inexplicable preoccupation with you that they may deny even to themselves, but cannot escape. The unconscious does not lie. It does not care about their carefully constructed persona of someone who needs no one. It knows what it recognizes, and it recognizes you. This is why the paradox holds. The fear is not evidence of indifference. The fear is evidence of recognition, of something in them that knows, at a level below thought, below language, below all the stories they tell themselves about who they are, that you are the one who could reach the part of them they have never allowed to be reached. And that is terrifying. Not because you are unsafe, but because they are not sure they can survive being that open. They do not know what would happen to the self they have built so carefully if they allowed you all the way in. They do not know who they would be on the other side of that vulnerability. And so they pull back and hurt you and hurt themselves and return and pull back again. Let me trace this for you through the stages it actually moves through, because this pattern has a shape. And once you can see the shape, you can stop being lost inside it. The first stage is what I call the unguarded moment. Every person who is afraid to love has, at some point, an unguarded moment with the person who truly reaches them. A moment when the defenses do not rise fast enough. When something real escapes. A look, a word, a tenderness they did not plan to offer. You have probably experienced this with the person you are thinking of. A moment that felt entirely different from every other moment. More real, more present, more like them. And you held it carefully because you sensed how rare it was. You may even have felt in that moment that everything was about to change, that the door was opening. But the moment they felt it too, the moment they registered what had just happened between you, the retreat began, maybe immediately, maybe a few hours later, maybe the next day. But it came because the unguarded moment is always followed by the reckoning. The second stage is the reckoning. This is what happens inside them after the unguarded moment, the internal event that you cannot see but whose effects you feel completely. The conscious mind reasserts control. The defenses are reinforced. The shadow is pushed back down. And to manage the panic of having been temporarily exposed, the person needs to create distance. This is when they become suddenly busy, when they go quiet, when they find something wrong, when they behave in ways that seem designed, unconsciously designed, to push you away or to convince themselves that what happened was not significant. The coldness that follows warmth is not cruelty. It is fear wearing cruelty's mask. You have probably questioned yourself during these moments, replayed the unguarded moment, looking for what you did wrong. You did not do anything wrong. You did something exactly right. And that is what frightened them. The third stage is the circling, because they cannot stay away. This is the part that is most confusing for you, the part that keeps you from being able to simply move on and stop caring. They come back. Not with a full arrival, not with the openness you need, but they come back. A message, a reason to make contact, a way of reappearing that gives them plausible deniability. I was just checking in, I just thought of you. It did not mean anything. But it does mean something. The unconscious is doing its seeking. The part of them that registered you, that shadow that came alive in the unguarded moment, cannot simply be silenced indefinitely. It surfaces. It moves toward you in the only way that feels safe enough. Partially. Obliquely. With one foot still in the doorway. And you feel the pull of it, even in its incompleteness. Because something in you already knows what it would look like if it were whole. You have glimpsed it. In the unguarded moment, you saw it. And so even the partial return carries the weight of everything it is almost. The fourth stage is the test. Not a conscious test, never that. But at some point in this pattern, the person who is afraid begins, unconsciously, to test whether the fear is warranted. Whether you will in fact destroy them if they open. And the test does not look like a test. It looks like provocation, like withdrawal, like an irrational response to something that did not deserve it. They are not trying to hurt you. They are trying to find out if you are safe, if you will stay, even when they are difficult. If you will see through the armor even when the armor is showing its sharpest edges. This is the most painful stage for you, because it asks the most of you with the least explanation. And here is where Jung's framework becomes most important for your own navigation. Because the question is not simply, will you pass the test? The question is, should you? But here is what Jung would add, and this is the part most people skip. Because it is easier to stay focused on the other person. You have been the subject of this video so far. The person who is afraid, the shadow they carry, the pattern they enact. But Jung would turn the lens now. Because the real question is not only about them, it is about what this situation is revealing in you. Why are you here? Not in a blaming way, in a genuinely curious way. What is it about this specific dynamic? The person who almost arrives but never fully does, or the love that is close enough to feel, but not close enough to hold. that keeps you present, that keeps you patient and hoping and returning to this question. Jung would say, we are not drawn to dynamics randomly. The unconscious selects. And the fact that you are here, in this particular experience, with this particular person, is not an accident. Something in you chose this. Not masochistically, not because you enjoy pain, but because something in your own shadow, your own buried material, is being activated here. What does the almost love reveal about your own relationship with being fully received? Do you feel, somewhere beneath the longing, a familiar comfort in being almost but not quite? Is there a part of you that is also afraid, not of loving, but of being loved completely, of being seen all the way through, with nowhere to hide? This is not an accusation. This is the shadow work. This is what Jung would call the gift hidden inside the wound. Because the person who is afraid to love you is, in a sense, holding up a mirror. And what they reflect is not your unworthiness. It is the places in you that are also waiting to be reclaimed. The parts of you that have not yet fully arrived either. The capacity you have for deep love, and the question of whether you are ready to receive it as generously as you are willing to give it. The shadow work asks you to stop asking, when will they stop being afraid? And to start asking, what am I learning about myself in the patience, in the longing, in the willingness to step? What are you discovering about your own capacity for love, about your own need to be met? About where you have perhaps settled for almost when what you deserve and what you are capable of receiving is These questions are not comfortable. But the unconscious does not offer comfortable questions. It offers necessary ones. And something in you, the part that stayed through all of this, the part that is watching this video at this hour, is ready to look at them honest. So let me bring this home. The person you are thinking of tonight is not broke. They are not cruel. Not at their core. They are frightened in the way that only the most significant things in a life can frighten a person. And the fear is, in its terrible way, a form of test. You moved something in them that had not been moved. You reached something that had not been reached. The fear is the shadow of a love they do not yet know how to carry. That is real. Your perception is not wrong. The connection you felt is not imagined. The unguarded moments happened. The recognition was mutual. The unconscious does not lie. Not in you and not in them. But the love you deserve is not measured in almost. It is not completed in glimpses. And the work that this experience is asking of you, the shadow work, the honest turning inward, is not a consolation prize for the love you could not have. It is the doorway to the love you can. You are not waiting for them to become brave. You are becoming braver yourself in the asking of these questions, in the honesty of this moment, in the willingness to look at what this experience has revealed about your own depth, your own longing, your own unlived wholeness. The heart that loves this deeply does not need to shrink itself. It needs to come home to itself, fully, without apology, without holding back the best of what it carries. And that return to yourself is the one return that no one can take from you. Tell me one thing in the comments. Have you ever felt like your love was too real for someone to hold? One sentence or even one word is enough. I read every single one. If this reached something in you tonight, share it with someone who is quietly living this right now. They may not have the words for what they are feeling. This might give them the words. Subscribe for weekly teachings that go this deep, into the places where the soul is doing its real work, even when no one can see it. And carry this with you as you close this. The fact that you can love this honestly, this completely, is not your wound. It is your power. Guard it well.